Welcome to the Fit Dads podcast. My name is Ryan Dutton. I'm joined by Brad Thompson. And today, Brad, we are back on the road in another amazing venue. You guys can't see this, but behind here is an awesome view. I've been watching deer in the field over there for the past 20 minutes whilst I've been interviewing our amazing guest today, which is Noor Hibbert. She is a motivational speaker, author, life coach, entrepreneur, known for her work in personal development and mindset coaching. She specialises in helping individuals build confidence, achieve financial freedom, and create the life they desire by harnessing the power of manifestation. Noor's the author of the book Just Fucking Do It, which offers a practical advice and tools to overcome fears in procrastination, self-doubt, achieving your goals. She also has a podcast, Think It, Get It, where she shares strategies and stories to inspire personal development and personal growth within people. Noor does all this whilst being an amazing moment to four beautiful children, travelling the world, which is a massive passion of hers. Expect to hear today how Noor uses the power of manifestation to achieve the things she wants, how she overcame depression and anxiety and used it as a driving force later in life, along with how she instills all the above in her four amazing children. Brad, what did you take most from today's kind of talk with Noor?
Once I've got over the awe that she's got four kids and she travels, for me it was mainly about the values. You know, she highlighted pretty early on that like family and travel, adventure, they were three of like really core values of hers. So to basically plan her life to make sure that everything's geared towards that, a lot of people can learn from. She speaks a lot about how people just sort of can get stuck in a rut and you know, be tuned in something called Shit FM, which I was really fascinated when she spoke about that. I'm really happy
you brought that up, actually. Shit FM is something that too many people are tuned into, and I think it's a great analogy. I really like that analogy. It's just what Noor's great at. You know, we mentioned it on the podcast, but she's awesome at breaking things down into a really simple, like down-to-earth way, which is her to a T, essentially, isn't it?
Yeah, 100%. Like she's a great talker, she's a great motivator, and she's funny. You know, that's one thing that I took away from today. I literally mentioned, like, during the podcast, I've been like having an audio book on in my car this week, and it felt quite strange being able to like interact and actually get a response. So yeah, this is probably the one that I feel like the one interview that we've done that I've thought, oh, this is quite strange, actually. This is quite strange.
It's strange in that she's so open and honest. Like, there's no barriers to like what you can ask her, what she'll talk about. So it was great to see her in that way. And you're absolutely right. Like, she's set up her life in a way where her values, morals, and her family come first. Yeah. And, you know, when it comes to especially your career, we sacrifice so much for that, don't we? I personally do. I don't do enough of what Noor does, and I'm definitely going to take away a few things today that I'm going to try and action straight away in my own career and work life. So, guys, if you are enjoying the podcast and you're liking the episodes we're putting out, please subscribe. We'd love to have you along for the journey. And should we get into it?
Shall we do it?
Here we go. Noor Hibbert, welcome to the Fit Dads podcast.
Thank
Great
you.
to have you
That
on.
is me.
We've obviously known each other for a while, haven't we? I coached you back in the day. We were talking
2017.
Was it that long ago? Wow. I was saying to Brad, it was pre-COVID.
It was 2017. I remember it because I was in San Diego at an event, and we had committed at this big event to like some of our goals for the year. And there was a big conversation about energy and fitness. And I was like, I know, this is my one vice. And the only way I'm going to do it is if I have a PT. So I made a decision to have a PT, and I must have reached out to you pretty soon after I landed back in the UK. So I know it was 2017 because then I fell pregnant later that year, and I was still training with you, and I gave birth in 2018 to Mira. So I know because I was pregnant. I was training with you till I was 30 weeks pregnant.
I love that. Someone else told me exactly the same thing. They signed up, and the first message they sent was on the way back from a holiday when they knew they'd put on more weight.
Yeah.
And they got dressed in the airport. So they dressed at the hotel, got to the airport, was having a meltdown about the way they looked, and thought, you know what, I'm just going to message Ryan. Yeah. I need as soon as I land, I need to have something planned for me losing weight. So it's interesting how that, maybe it is other places, maybe it's just this energy we put out there. But
it's just a commitment. I think that I was like, I want to grow my business, grow myself. And I knew that the one area that I'd always struggled with was my fitness and health. So not my health necessarily, but my fitness and my weight and getting into a routine of enjoying it. And so I made a commitment. I'm growing my business, but in time I'm gonna get the fittest I've been, which I almost died. I almost wasn't here tell the story, Ryan.
Should she have exaggerated?
Yeah, let's
It's a great Ryan impression, to be fair.
yeah. If you'd like to die, sign up for R5 Fitness.
That's not making the program. But no, we know you were all about, obviously, manifesting and getting things out in the open. And probably my first question to you, I guess, is talk to me about the universe, and not in like the astronomical sense.
Universe.
You're all
Not in like the aliens like we've just been speaking about.
Cut.
But what is it about the universe that you love and can harness and can actually use to your benefit? Like, I want to know about that.
Loaded question coming in. Okay, where do we start with this question? So I always like to say, like, I've made the universe my BFF. Like, me and the universe, we're down. And the way that I think is to kind of break this down and explain this is I used to even think that the word meditation was so cringy, like that is not a thing that normal people do. So when I started to hear about the universe, I can guarantee you the first thing I wanted to do was run for the hills, because I was like, this is fucking weird. But I think my first experience was reading a book called The Secret, which was all about positive thoughts, go out into the world, into the energy, and you get it back. So I thought, okay, I'm going to try and manifest. I'm going to use manifestation. I'm going to try and manifest something. Walked into Sainsbury's, absolutely buzzing. Like, I had visualized, I'm going to win a scratch card. I'm going to win a scratch card. I'm going to win 100 grand. I'm done. This book told me that all I had to do was visualize it. So I walk into Sainsbury's like Billy Big Balls, like, I'm going to fucking be rich today. I think I was 23 years old. And so went in and I visualised, got to Sainsbury's, got a scratch card, and I was like, shit, I didn't win. So I kind of poo-pooed the whole idea. And then in 2015, I came across a mentor completely serendipitously, which I know now, there's no such thing as a fucking coincidence. For me, every single person that's come in my life has been there for a reason. So I have this saying, when the student is ready, the teacher will appear. So the teacher appeared, and I started to learn about this idea of manifestation from a different angle, and the kind of conversation of the universe came back in again, and what is the universe and how do we explain it? So there's lots of different ways that we can explain the universe. Some people might want to call it God. Some people might want to call it the source, light, mother nature, whatever it is. The way that I like to see it is that there's something greater that is making the sun come up and go down, the moon do what it does, seasons change, the tide come in, has created thousands or millions of species of animals and plants, allows us as invented humans to most perfectly birth children and like stuff that logically we can't get our head around. And so I kind of was edging towards this idea, okay, I'm not religious, I don't believe in God, but am I able to believe that there's something that, an intelligence, let's just call it an intelligence, that is operating at some level that is helping us be here as humans. So for example, one of the examples I give is that from a quantum physics perspective, every single thing is made up of atoms, and atoms that make up a phone are the same sort of atoms that make up us as humans. There's no difference in sort of the makeup of an atom. But we as humans are animate. We are like we're like a website that's been given hosting, you know? So we're like alive and we're here. And then our hosting dies and we expire as humans. But something's making us alive, giving us this consciousness, this energy, these feelings, these emotions. So this intelligence I kind of call the universe, okay? So it's a very broad term to describe everything that I believe kind of makes us who we are as humans, these live, animate things. But I believe this infinite intelligence is kind of like a motherboard, and we're all like plugged into it. And, you know, so many of us go through our life and we kind of think like we're here to like eat, sleep, shit, repeat, you know, save for a pension, go on a cruise and die. But what if we got it all fucking wrong? What if actually we have this amazing sort of layer to ourselves? We have this physical being layer to ourselves. It's called the human self. But then we have this non-physical being to us, which I like to call our soul self. And our soul self has got wisdom of maybe many lives that we've had, and there's a, like I said, like a little microchip in our soul. And it's the blueprint of who you're meant to be as a human during this existence. But most of us forget this. Most of us come into life and we get conditioned to believe how we should live our life. So when I talk about the universe, what I mean is connecting back to this intelligence that put us here, that is running through us. If we're breathing, we have it running through us, and connect back to that kind of blueprint of who we are. And that's how we then manifest the life that we really want. So, I mean, imagine a big sea of consciousness, this energy, and we're all like little droplets of it. And for our human existence, we get put in these little boxes, we call our human bodies. We get to experience what it's like to be in this experience, and then we go back to being just part of the big sea of consciousness when we're no longer living in our human bodies. So connecting back to this power, what I call a universe, has helped me manifest the things that I want in my life. So yeah, that's the short story.
I think that you're absolutely right. You said something really important there. Not enough people are conscious enough of what's going on and who they are. And me, myself and Brad, I listened to your first book many years ago, and Brad's listened to it this week. And I went over your second book more recently. And one thing that's really apparent with you is you put it across in a way that's so motivating. It really, I left my kind of, I was listening to it on Audible, and every time I would have my little stint, half an hour or so of listening to you, I'd leave there feeling really energized and like, I think there's not enough people like you boxing it in the way you do.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people will talk about manifestation, or like The Secret, for example. It's obviously a very well-known book, but I think the way you package it up for people is really down to earth. Like you're a no bullshit person as well. Do you know what I mean? Like you're not one of these hippy dippy people who is like
I try not to be,
in a sarong, like, you know, doing all sorts of weird stuff with the hair. Yeah, you are just down to earth. Like I feel like you're one of us, but you've tapped into something that not a lot of people have, and that's the message that I love.
I thank you, and it's interesting because I shared this on my stories of the day. I get so many messages from like my Italian fans, because I don't get as many from like males in the UK, but I get so many from the Italian males. I think they're a bit more happy to like kind of, I don't know what it is, but they read the book and they're like, thank you, this is the way that you teach me. I feel so alive. And obviously I get so many incredible, you know, messages and reviews, but I think from males particularly is what the point I was saying is, the Italian men, then they're not scared to drop in my DMs and be like, this book has changed my life, thank you. I have to obviously translate so I can understand what's going on.
It's funny that, because obviously I probably only know Italian men from football. And Italian men in football are like hard men, aren't they? Like proper Italian defenders, like a Gattuso. I can't imagine Gattuso messaging.
Never know.
So, but in terms of kind of like, I think one of my superpowers, which I didn't really realise was one of my superpowers, is the ability to break this down in a way that lands for people. And, you know, when people talk about my first book, I'm like cringing because I wrote it like so many years ago. And like my third book, which came out this year, I feel like is my best work at really explaining all of this. And it's called You're a Fucking Success. And I think that book for me really explains it in a way that I wish I'd known. Like when I wrote my first book, I hadn't really come up with a process. I had, without realising, a process that I was using. But by the time I'd written my third book years later, I'd refined that process into like a methodology that I'm like, I get why it's worked. I get why people are getting such incredible results from this. And, you know, I've got so many incredible people that say it's changed their life, this manifesting stuff, they never even heard of it, or they'd heard of it and hadn't worked. And for me, that was the same. I'd heard of it, tried to use it, but there were missing components that The Secret didn't teach you that then leads you to like kind of poo-poo the idea, which is exactly what I did for years. I was like, I really want this to work. There was something in me. It was like my soul was like so connected to the idea. It was like, yes, this makes sense. But I couldn't get my human self on board. And so part of manifestation is getting both those pieces of you together, working together to go, yeah, this is what my soul wants. Human self be on board. Yeah, let's fucking do this, you know? And that's what happens. Most people don't get both kind of parts of them working together. But yeah, I thank you, because I do love a no bullshit approach to changing your life. There we go. That could be the next book.
I think what you tapped on there is obviously what we experience to a certain degree in our careers with the longer you do something, the more you understand what works, what doesn't work, and why those things work and don't work. And it was actually the third book I've been listening to, You Are a Fucking Success. It's like, there was almost a different change in direction as well, of being a little bit like, you know, no matter what you do, you can be a success. You are a success in just being here, being alive, you are a success.
Yeah.
But how can we take that kind of a step further? And if you want to be more, if you want to do more, this is how you do it, basically.
So I think the most important thing to start off with is that, you know, that there's a 1 in 400 trillion chance that you are exactly who you are during this lifetime. A lot of people don't really realise how much of a fucking miracle they really are. 1 in 400 trillion chance is quite extraordinary. And so, you know, being a miracle and realising, like, this is your one chance. My second book's called You Only Live Once, because you really do. We only get to live once as who we are right now. And so many of us kind of don't understand how to make the most of our lives, how to connect back to, and for me, success is being able to connect back to who you truly are. That, in that invisible microchip inside of you, is a blueprint of who you want to be. So for example, if I look at my childhood, right, and I look at the things that people told me I was really good at, Noor talks a lot. If Noor just stopped talking so much, she would do really well in life. Wrong! Rocky made a living out of talking. You know, I used to love performing. I wanted to go to theatre school. And even though I'm not in the theatre now doing that, I get to do a podcast. I get to do Facebook Lives. I get to kind of teach. I wanted to be a teacher, you know, so all the things that I actually wanted to do as a child were the things that have made me a success now. Just whacked myself in the face. So actually, when you look at what would make you more successful now, one of the things that we should be doing is actually tapping into who we were as children. Because actually, that would give us quite a lot of insight into our unique blueprint, which is what I call our unique blueprint, that invisible microchip. So for me, it was always destined that I would do something that was going to help people. I remember saying to my mum when I was 4 or 5 years old, I'm going to be a paediatrician. And they thought it was hilarious because I said this really big word. Fucking hated science. I was never going to be a paediatrician, but it's because I wanted to help people. And for me, it was like a doctor helps people. And then when I realised I didn't want to do that, I was like, what other helping things can I do? So it led me to becoming a coach, and coaches didn't really exist then. If you said, you know, mindset coach or life coach back then, people, even when I trained 10 years ago, they're like, you doing what? What is that? Sports coach? No, I'm not doing anything with sports. Nothing to do with sports. And it's such a like an unknown thing. So I think when you look back at your childhood, that gives you clues as to what your most successful life could look like. What were your dreams? I always say your dreams and your desires are the roadmap to that blueprint. So if you can start to look at what your dreams are, you can start to look at, okay, these are actually the little like spiritual breadcrumbs of what you are truly meant here to do. And that is the first step to creating, I think, success that's true to you. Not true to anybody else, not success that your parents want you to have, not success that you think the media or society wants you to have. Because when we chase that, we're chasing a white rabbit down an elusive white hole, down an elusive hole, and you're going to end up fucking miserable. Because I know from my own experience that I believed success was X, Y, Z, fame, money, things like those are all great things if used in the harnessed in the right way. I used to think it was Louis Vuitton bags and Range Rover and a Rolex. Yeah, I drive a Range Rover, but I don't drive it because I think it's going to make me a better person. I drive it because I like the car. I needed a 7-seater, and that was what I liked. But I don't buy things to make me feel successful, because if I can't cultivate that within myself, then I won't create the life I want. And so that was my biggest tip, was if you want to be more successful, stop looking for the outside things to validate that for you. Because when I literally had no money, was on maternity benefits, wanting to create a business, I remember thinking, how can I cultivate this feeling of success now? And I just hold my child and I'd be like, I love you so much. I'm so grateful for you. And that, I think, was kind of almost like a bit of a hack of how I then started to create the sort of like, I think, more material successes in my life was because I was able to harness into gratitude for what I actually already had.
How many of the people do you coach do you have to go through that process with, where you're like, most of the things you're spending money on are just to keep up with the Joneses? You're not actually into that thing. You're doing it and you're wearing it and you have it because it just creates an image that you think is important to you, but it's actually not. Yeah. Is that a big part of like some of the people that you coach?
To be honest with you, I don't really kind of, I talk about it in my books and I sort of bring it to awareness, that judgment, because I think what's really easy is that where I am today and where I can look at things from a different perspective, most people can't. So it's really important, I think, not to say, oh, you're doing that wrong, because they're feeling something within them. And unfortunately, most humans don't have the luxury of doing what they really want in their life or doing something that's really fulfilling. So for them, those things are giving them something. And yeah, okay, maybe it's not the right way of filling that void, etc. So I think I always err on the side of caution of like judging someone for making those decisions. I think by writing my books or sharing my podcast things, I'm trying to get people to become more aware of their intentions behind what they are doing. Because, you know, if you are unhappy in your job, but you're spending all your money on things to make you happier, and you're not aware that you're doing that, which most people aren't, by the way. Most people don't fucking know why they're buying the shit they're buying. They're doing it because their ego is driving them. They're doing it because they're trying to find significance and meet their needs of, you know, feeling important and, you know, through this medium of buying stuff. So most people aren't aware. So my job as a coach, as a mentor, as a teacher, whatever it is to help people cultivate awareness so they can go, shit, why am I buying this? And that's one of the things I constantly have to do with my kids, you know, because my daughter's 12, she's now out of school, she's seeing all these brands, she's seeing all this stuff, and it's trying to get her to understand why is it important, what's the intention, what's the feeling that you're trying to cultivate. So I probably do it more with my children than I do with my clients, because I think my job with my clients isn't to say, why are you wearing that, why are you doing that? It's my job is to facilitate themselves getting that awareness and understanding for themselves, because they can then choose, I don't want to spend that money on that. I'm going to spend money on developing myself. I'm going to spend money on books, on audios, on, you know, making myself a better person. I don't own one designer handbag. I don't own one expensive piece of jewelry except for my wedding ring. I don't own one expensive watch. If someone tried to burgle me, they'd be fucking disappointed when they went to my jewelry box and saw Primark jewelry in there.
Damn it, Brad, we're foiled, mate. We best get out of here now.
Like, honestly, I own nothing of great value, because for me, I cultivate that from within, but that is a journey that you have to go through yourself. And I think, yeah, it's like I see it often. I can, do you know, I think my biggest thing is I've always got this like superpower. I can see through people so quickly. I can see why they're doing things, why they're acting a certain way. It's always like an occupational hazard, because I'm like, don't psychoanalyze them, because I can see things. I can see all the jigsaw puzzles that have gone wrong in their childhood. I just see things that other people don't. But I think the most important thing is if someone's not ready to hear it or shift or change, they're not ready. So you can't force someone to like be different if they don't want to be, you know.
I'm really glad you've said that, because I think I look at that, I'm sure the same, I look back on the mistakes I've made in the past and think, I had to make that. If I 100%. Hadn't have made that mistake or hadn't have done that stupid thing, I 100%. Wouldn't have done what I do now. And it is unfortunate sometimes, like it's just a part of life, and other people can see it coming, they try and warn you, and you stay well clear of their advice, you do it anyway. But I think when it comes to like purchases especially, I have a 6-month rule where if I want it now, right, and it's a big thing, do I still want it in 6 months? No, I still really do. I genuinely do. I'll get it, it's fine. I obviously want it, it's going to bring something to me.
100%.
And some material things are nice. Like
it's not
some
about
really cool things like that.
Yeah, and it's not about not having nice things. It's not like don't own a designer handbag. Yeah. That brings you joy, and you love that absolutely, because at the end of the day, if something's going to make you feel better and raise your vibration, it's understanding the intention behind it. Are you buying it because you're scared you're not good enough? Or are you buying it because you actually desire that object? That's the fine line of the intention. And if you're doing it because you're like, I want this, I can afford it and I want it for me and I want it, brilliant. That you should, like, you know, I buy things for myself that I like because then there's something that's going to be important to me. But it's always going at why am I doing this? It's to make myself look better, feel better, but not in a way that's like feel better for a personal satisfaction, feel better because, I've seen, this mum at school's got this new handbag and I just feel so inferior because I don't have it. I need to go buy it, different intentions. It's always about the awareness of the choices you're making. And if you're doing that with awareness, spend your money on what the fuck you want. You know what I mean? That's the whole point. We make money to buy the things we want and do things we want.
Yeah, for sure.
You mentioned something there, Noor, about vibrations. And this is something that I really wanted to ask you about because one thing that stuck with me from your book, your book, You Are a Fucking Success, was all about, I suppose, the Shit FM. That's the word I was looking for, Shit FM.
Welcome to Shit FM.
Yeah. If someone is listening who is tuned into Shit FM.
Yeah, okay, so let me break down what Shit FM is, because everyone's like, what is this radio station? Can't find it. So the way that I like to describe it is that one of the processes of manifesting is what I call tuning into Universe FM. So when I talk about Universe FM, this is essentially one of the key kind of components of the law of attraction is you need to be a vibrational match for what it is that you want to create. So if you're sat here feeling frustrated, angry, overwhelmed, depressed, moaning about life, criticizing everybody else, comparing your life to everybody else, your vibration is going to be at a lower state. Like the way that you are vibrating to create emotions, energy in motion, emotion, will be at a lower state because those negative emotions are on the lower scale of emotions. If you're feeling happy, excited, joyful, love, peaceful, your vibration is vibrating at your vibe is vibrating at a higher level. So if you think about what you want in your life, so Brad, give me like something you would love to manifest, something that would make you so happy, right? Just imagine how the Brad version of you would be feeling had you manifest that. Like that was your reality. How would future Brad who manifest that be feeling? Well, obviously I'm going to expect that you'll be feeling happy, excited, proud, enthusiastic, joyful. But let's say, do you want me to pause while?
No, it's all good.
Right, just going to go.
He looks after me.
Just split text. But let's say you right now were angry, frustrated, criticizing, comparing, all of that stuff. That is a vibrational mismatch. So the law of attraction says that like attracts like. So in order to essentially pull in that version of you, you need to be vibrating at the same vibration. So you can't change your life being a miserable fucker, basically, right, Brad? That's basically the short of it. But so most people, so the way I say is tuning into Universe FM is a bit like, let's say you really want to listen to dance music. So I go to my radio, we're going to pretend that it's 1996 and you had radios where you had to move the knob, and not those types of knobs, people. They're knobs on the radio. That's a different type of radio.
I was about to say it's a PC podcast, but it's
definitely not.
So you'd have to get the knob and you'd sort of dial it, right, and you'd hear. Am I too old? Are you too young for that?
We had a dial up too.
And so you start off. So let's say you're like, I want dance music, and you go, then you hear like, welcome to Talk Sport. Today we're talking about balls and balls that get kicked and transfers. And my husband would just listen.
Yorkshire accent.
That's really good. That.
My husband would listen to fucking listen to Talk Sport, and I'm like, Richard, how can you? All right, lads. And then there was this, and then did you see that match? And that, oh no. And I'm sat there thinking, who the fuck cares? But imagine I turn on that radio station, I'm like, I'm waiting for a dance song to come on. I could be waiting there for hours and hours and hours. There is no R&B coming out of that radio station because that frequency that wavelength is on is for Talk Sport. So in order for me to listen to dance music, I need to take that knob, I need to change the frequency, tune into a different wavelength, and now I've got history R&B, right? Now I have to listen to men talking about balls and I get to have a dance. And my energy changes. Why? Because I'm on the wavelength that resonates with me. I'm on the frequency, I'm on a different frequency and energy level. So we can't see, but because our eyes are very limited, we can only see 0.5% of the light spectrum. All of this, what looks like nothingness, is bursting with energy. All of the radio waves of every single, radio channel, all of the light waves, they're all there. And so we just need to operate on a different frequency. And this is where, you know, quantum physics comes into play, and it's the most complex subject, because what it really shows us is we don't really understand much about reality. We don't really understand much about our own ability in relation to the quantum world and, you know, all of this stuff that goes on that we can't see. But one thing we do know is that at some level, and there's people that would literally stand here that have been studying quantum physics for decades, would say, you know, we have an effect on the world around us. So if we're vibratory beings and we're made up of atoms, we will have an effect through things like quantum entanglement, things like the observer effect as shown by the double slit experiment. So whilst we can't necessarily prove it, we can't sit here and disprove it. So my thought process is, let's just play games. Let's just have fun thinking that we can and see where it goes. That's all I've been doing for 8.5 years. I tell you what, my life has massively changed. So I'm here for playing the games of the quantum world and all this idea about vibrations. So hopefully that makes sense.
Yeah, 100%. I think it's just really nice to, and I'll be honest, it's quite surreal as well, because I've listened to you in the car for so long this week that it feels really strange. That's why I'm quite quiet, because I'm like, how can I interject? Like, I can't talk to an audiobook. But you're actually here, so that's a bit...
You also can't turn it off now either. There's no pause button, unfortunately.
No.
I'm only joking. No. I want to come back to your kids. So there was something in your first book, actually, Just Fucking Do It, that you mentioned. It was on... you mentioned that it was Napoleon Hill's infamous book, Think and Grow Rich. You said you read that. And it was your first exposure to the power of the mind. In your words, it changed the trajectory of your life. It also shocked me that this stuff wasn't being taught in schools. I'm going to assume it still isn't being taught. I mean, I've only got a 2-year-old, so I'm not sure kind of at a school level what's going on there, but I assume not. So how are you approaching instilling this kind of thinking and these beliefs into your kids? How do you navigate that?
So, I think one of the things that I do is, we talk about manifesting all the time. Like, I talk about manifesting all the time. So I'm teaching my children how to do things in little ways. Like, for example, not necessarily about making money, because they're all a bit younger. Layla's kind of on the trajectory now of like, I want money, I want to earn money. So I'm like, okay, we're going to learn about this stuff. But just kind of teach them more manifestation stuff. For example, Layla really wanted to be head girl. And she was a good candidate. She could be in the running, but there was also lots of other really great candidates in her school that could have easily got head girl. So I said to her, you know, so from a young age, that was kind of one of her dreams. And I always think when you have a strong desire for something, that's always a great start. So I said to her, just go to bed every night, and I want you to imagine yourself lying in bed and they're calling your name and you're getting up on that stage. And I said, but you also have to let it go, darling. You can't hold on to it. It doesn't matter. It doesn't mean anything about you. And honestly, I've never felt so much emotion in my life when they went, and the head girl is Layla Rose Hibbert. Wow. She got onto stage, but she was in floods of tears. And I was like, and everyone was like congratulating me, and I was like, I'm like, do I congratulate me? You know, like, but because she did it. My kids. So this is the bit where but there's a thing called human design. And it talks about it takes astrology to another level. And all my kids are manifesting generators, which basically, me and Rich are generators, their kids are manifesting generators. They're all really great manifestors. And once they harness the power and understand the process, they'll all be amazing. So I wish people had taught me this as a young age. So I'm trying to instill this into them. Safi, you know, is wanted to be, you know, wanted to win this race. She wanted to come third in it. She never come third. And in bed, like, visualize it, see it happening. And, you know, I was at the finish line. I saw her come exactly third. And
wow.
So trying to teach them these ways of visualization, because kids have less interference with belief systems. This is a core piece. As adults, we start to have interference with what we believe at core levels, and we have to rewrite that and rescript that. So I'm trying to get my kids to kind of understand these basic premises of visualization, belief, and action. You know, so I said to Layla, you know, you're not going to become a head girl unless you write a really amazing speech. And so, you know, we wrote, she came up with the speech, and obviously I helped her to kind of put it together, but there's actions involved in it. So I don't want to believe it's just magical, because there is some crazy shit that's come into my life that has literally come out of thin air. Like, there's no logical explanation, no logical reason. I've not done anything in the physical world to make it happen. but something that I've wanted has literally come out of thin air. Do I believe that that's possible? Absolutely, because I believe there's different levels of manifestation. I've talked about this in my third book. There's different fields of games that you can play in manifestation. And the game that I like most people to play is the field of not relying on miracles, but actually partaking and being a co-creator with the universe. And so trying to get my kids to understand this bit by bit, just little bits, little by bit, visualization, beliefs. Why don't you believe yourself? What's blocking you on that? And just most importantly, I always say to them, like, vibration, energy. Do you need to be in this mood? Can we try to shift the energy? Let's do this, trying to get them to understand how to tune to Universe FM and how to bounce back when things go wrong or they're frustrated. Because I think this is one of the biggest skill sets that will help you be a really good manifestor. So yeah, not really necessarily about money with Think and Grow Rich, but definitely trying to instill some of these concepts of you can create the life that you want, you can go for your dreams, and you can have anything you want, but you've got to visualize, have the right belief systems, and take the action. Most importantly, let it go. Don't attach yourself to the outcome. It's meant to be, it'll be.
I love that. I think it's also a great way of instilling like belief and empowerment in kids. And even just that like level of optimism. Like some kids just aren't as optimistic, same way adults are. They just are a little bit down all the time. And if you are on that, like I said, frequency, on that vibration, it's a great way of lifting your own kids up and making them be like, actually, maybe I'm feeling a little bit of a funk, but can I turn this around today? Can I be in control a little bit? Can I be in control of my mood, how I'm feeling, my thoughts, my actions? I love that as a tool to actually help them be a better person.
But it's a bit not embarrassing, but like I'm kind of that parent with like the jammy parent at school, because my kids keep winning things and they keep like coming number one in things, and I'm like really sorry, they're master manifestors. I'm really like, and like the year, there's like at the end of the year where the head girl gets announced, they also announced Safi is like the head of her year, like so she won the star of the year. So I was like, they're like, Hibbert's winning again. And then at the talent contest this year, both my daughters came number one as well. And I was like, just me again, my amazing manifesting kids. And then...
Is this not great for business though? Or are the parents not going, there must be something going on there? It's like, we need to start to those programs. I want my kids to be head girl next year. I'm going to start at window.
I know. And I know Safi's like gunning for head girl now next year because obviously Layla got it. And so it's actually... and then like Safi won a gold medal in the swimming, so she's going to the nationals, and she was the only girl that won a gold in the whole school, and she had a headset on it, and and then she said this year I'm going to get number one in the talent contest again. I was like, you got it last year. She won again, and it's just like you become kind of like, shit, my kids keep winning everything, not everything, but and it's because I think that they're getting so much better at harnessing this, but taking the action and practicing and doing all that stuff as well, but really getting good at kind of what they really desire and making it happen. I think when they see these little breadcrumbs, it strengthens their faith in the manifestation process, But yeah, it's definitely interesting for me. I'm like, oh, there's the Hibbert girls again.
Amazing. Just going on to, I guess, a bit more of a serious topic now.
Serious?
I know, we're getting serious now, mate.
Yeah.
At 16, in your second book, I think you said you were diagnosed with depression.
Yeah.
And you mentioned, again, quite deep, you mentioned almost pulling the plug on life a little bit. You were in quite a bad spot.
Yeah.
What is it that you kind of drove into that place, number one? And then what is it that got you out of that place? Was it the kind of similar principles you're talking about now, or was it something else, a combination of things?
So what took me to that place when I was 16, I think one of the final straws for me, I'd been through quite a lot of stuff. I mean, from the age of like 9 years old all the way through to 16, I had a very, very turbulent childhood. My parents were not in a happy marriage anyway, so I was living in pretty much like my own little war zone. I had a very, because my parents were consistently arguing and we lived in a really kind of unhappy household, that then spilled out because our individual relationships with our parents then became quite strenuous as well. So just number one, as a child, when you don't live in a household that feels safe, that you're getting the love and the nurture you want. It wasn't my parents were bad people at all, they're not. And I have incredible relationships with them now, but they were also the byproduct of their own upbringings. And they had us very, very young. My mum was 18 when she had me, so they were very, very young. So it's not any sort of blame, but I lived in a very, as children, we have to be in specific sort of upbringings to make sure that we're mentally in the right place. So I think that was the first sort of trigger that was kind of pushing me to maybe not be in a very good place mental health-wise. But then a series of events then happened throughout my life that were really distressing for me. And I went through sort of, then going through my parents divorcing. And then there was some other pretty traumatic stuff that I don't really talk about and I haven't really talked about publicly. And then I was in a relationship at 16 with somebody who was 5 years older than me, who was emotionally abusive to begin with, but to the point where, I wanted to go out with my friends one night and he tried to take his own life by taking 30 pills. And I remember being in the hospital with my mum while he was having his stomach pumped, and I was 16 years old. And he came out and he said, if you ever do that again, I'll kill myself. If you ever try to go again, I'll kill myself again. And I just, the culmination of all these things that happened in my life, I'd been really badly bullied when I was 14 years old at school, where, I'd walk up to a table and the girl would be like, you can't sit here, you've got germs. And it's like, as a girl that never really used to fit in anyway, always felt like an outsider, always never used to fit in, found relationships quite difficult with people, never really found my people. So for me, it was so jarring. I didn't know how to stand up to that. I didn't know how to behave. So I hated school. I wanted to leave. So there was just such a culmination of just layers of things that were just compounding. And I just thought, what is the fucking point? Like, I don't know how to do this life thing. So I ended up going to the hospital. So the doctor got, diagnosed with depression. By the time I was 19, I was now diagnosed with anxiety. So now, I'd kind of come off the depression medication because my mum found out I went fucking mental. And I've had this conversation with her later on. I was like, you got angry. She was like, I was in denial. I was like, so many parents don't know what to do. They don't know how to deal with that. And then I was on anxiety medication from 19 till about 23. And then when I was 23, I remember saying to my mum on my bed, I was like, I'm broken. I need help. Someone needs to fix me. I can't go through life like this. I am broken. Something's not right with me. No one should feel this way every single day. I'd go through moments of being really happy. It wasn't like I was always unhappy. It was like there was dark times, there was good times, there was dark times. But always I just felt there was a cloud. There was always a cloud over me. Could never just be really happy. And my happiness was always determined by who I was in a relationship with. Because for me, #daddy issues, my validation, my sense of importance and being loved came from somebody else. I didn't know how to love myself. So if I was in a good relationship, I'd be happy for a little period. But during that, I'd also be plagued with anxiety. This person's going to leave me. This person's going to leave me. This person's going to leave me. So as I grew older, I understood why I had these, because all the traumas I'd gone through as a child had never been processed or cleared. So I was then dealing with all this throughout all my relationships. So 23, I was like, I'm broke, I need help. I remember trying to go for CBT and therapy and counselling, and nothing fucking worked. It wasn't until really this whole manifestation stuff came into my life. And that really, 2015, I went through some more traumatic stuff, and it completely changed my life because I started to understand myself. And then when I trained as a coach, started to really understand the mind, I became obsessed with understanding how the subconscious mind worked, why we create traumas, why we go through life with these things. So the best way I like to describe it is that as a child, I went through experiences and they were left open like tabs on the website of my mind. And what happens is subconscious mind, which is there for your safety and survival, when anything in your life later on, years later, is structurally similar to those tabs left open, it like vibrates them and it causes you to go to fight or flight, which is why I was consistently dealing with fear and anxiety. And so when I started to understand this, I could start to now close down those tabs, process those experiences, understand that I'm no longer a 6-year-old or an 8-year-old or a 9-year-old or a 13-year-old experiencing those things. Because what happens is as you're an adult, when you think about something that happened as a child that was traumatic or as younger as a traumatic, mind can't tell the difference between past, present, or future. So you relive that experience in your mind. That's why you re-experience the emotions in your body, even if it's 20 years later. So my job is to help my clients close down those tabs so that they can remember that experience, but it doesn't cause them that experience. So I think, yeah, I had to go through all of that. I don't think I would be the coach I am today. I don't think I'd have the level of empathy or ability to deal with clients through so many different things because I have experienced so much myself. I think that made me the person I was to be able to be who I am today. So everything was exactly as it needed to be for me to get to where I am.
I think it's wild that you went through that at such a young age, like to be at 16 years old and be actually very cognizant of like, I am not supposed to feel like this, because you're still at an age where you're not really sure.
Well, I was 23 at that point, actually.
Okay,
yeah.
okay.
No, I mean, at 16, I was like, you know.
When you were first diagnosed with depression.
Yeah, I was like, what's wrong with me?
Yeah.
Like,
but
what am
even
wrong?
at 23, like 20, your 20s are supposed to be like the best years of your life. Like, you know, they're supposed to be the years where, you know, there is that grey cloud should never exist for any 20-year-old, you know.
But it does, and I think it's even more so now because I think we live in a world where actually mental health problems are on the rise. And don't get me wrong, like I had lots of great times in my 20s, but it was always shadowed with this dark side. You know, there was always the good times, but this dark side. It's a good time, but this dark side. And so for me, my 30s have 100% been just the best in terms of my own mental state. And, you know, people are like, I can never be 20. I can never be in my 20s again. Fucking hell, you know. I'd like to read them again, mentally sane. That'd be great. But, you know, but yeah.
But I also agree with that. I think your 20s should be some of the best years of your life. But I actually think if you do things right and learn from everything that happened in your 20s, your 30s should be even better. Because you've got, when we go on like, you know, a few lads oldies now, it's brilliant. It's like going away when you were like 15, 16. Well, maybe not early. 17, 18. But you've got a bit of money now, do you know what I mean? You can go and do the things you want to do. You can be proper boys. You know, you can do all the kind of, you know.
Get all the cash hands up, throwing them with me. That's what you Ryan.
I have a gun actually. Have you seen those money guns? We have those. No lie.
Oh my! You know, that is so true, though, isn't it?
That's the way it should be.
You can afford to do it's so. But I think the wisdom is the most important part of it. The wisdom that you gain from it.
For sure. But
rock on the 40s. I'm gonna be living my best fucking life.
That's the spiral downhill, I think, from there.
Ryan, listen, don't. How old are you now? 30?
I'm 33 now.
33.
I thought no one were going to guess then. That'd have been really.
I thought you were 35, but you know, I just thought it was a logical.
I feel
it was a logical thing. It wasn't like you look at. I just thought you were only a few years younger than me. But yeah, I mean, you don't care as much, I think, when you're older about what people think.
It is that like self-consciousness that has kind of gone a little bit, I think, to a certain degree.
Yeah,
you fall into the kind of path of like, what's cool, what do I have to fit into the kind of role of. When you get to your 30s, 40s, you should be thinking, this is who I am, this is what I like. If you like it, great, join me. If not, jog on kind of thing.
Yeah, exactly.
You draw in better people, I think, in your 30s and 40s.
Totally.
For sure.
Yeah, I think a phrase that I picked up from your book was comparison killed the cat.
Yeah.
And that really stuck with me because I really fly the flag for curiosity in a way. Like I love asking questions. I like researching weird and wonderful things. And
curiosity is absolutely not what killed the cat.
No.
It's fucking myth.
Yeah.
Curiosity is brilliant. That gets you learning and, you know, growing and understanding things. And yeah, it definitely wasn't curiosity. It was definitely comparison.
Yeah, for sure. That was from the first book, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, I remember that line actually. But it was quite a good, because it was curiosity that originally you said that killed the cat. But comparison is, again, in today's world, like for teenagers as well. Like your girls
with social media.
I'm not sure how.
My God.
I mean, let's touch on that. Like how do you navigate social media?
Do you know what?
Because as a dad, as a relatively new dad, you know, I've only got a 2-year-old. I'm scared of that era of like my girl potentially being stripped of her personality, who she is, her confidence because of social media. Like it actually scares me. It does, for sure.
Well, I think you have to build them up outside of it, and I think it's the most important thing is like I spend so much time trying to build my girls up so they're not relying on, you know, it's so hard, right? I'm still in the thick of it. You know, I've got a 12-year-old, 10-year-old, a 6-year-old, and a 2-year-old. So I'm still in the thick of it, really navigating that. You know, I definitely can't sit here and say, oh, I figured it out. I don't. I'm still in the infancy of understanding the effect that it's having on my girls. The thing the thing that I'm seeing the most is the girls want things they've seen on social media, particularly Layla, my eldest. And I'll be like, she's like, I want this thing. I'm like, TikTok is selling you this. It's not, you know, just because influencers seeing it. But then I actually thought it was quite interesting. We had this conversation this morning. On her Christmas list is a Amazon hoodie with essentials written on it, like the Amazon essentials. Oh. Amazon have managed to make this an influencer item. My child wants a fucking hoodie with essentials written on it, an Amazon essential hoodie. It's only a tenner, right?
Wow.
But equally, she wants the white fox one. Why? Because everyone on social media's got it.
Yeah.
So I'm like, they're the same thing. One is one influencer, one's another. I was like, you could have 5 of those and 1 of those. What, so...
I think that's the thing with like social media. It's also amazing at selling, and as time's passing by, we understand what sells better.
Yeah.
Obviously, we know emotion sells. We've known that for a while, but
100%.
the high level end selling skills that were only used by people
shops or now it's everywhere.
Now it's like, it filters down.
This is the problem. I think my biggest issue with social media is obviously, number one, how the girls look and compare themselves to other girls online, and kind of teaching my girls like there's filters on everything. Like everyone's filtered as fuck. Like just get that right now.
Yeah.
They're filtered as fuck. But also you don't inspire everything on social media. Not everything is You've got a flaccid mic.
These mics stand.
Was I not turning you on enough? I'm sorry.
That's the opening line.
There we go. That's the clip. That's the clip there.
That's what we wanted. We've got the
There we
wisdom.
go. So let's back up.
For now.
We're back in action. Unless he's unhappy again in a minute. It's a minefield, and I'm definitely not going to profess that I've figured it out yet because I'm still in the thick of it. Come back in like 6 years, and we'll ask me then.
But they are on the cusp. So Layla's 12 now, so she's on the cusp of just getting to that kind of stage where it becomes a big deal amongst her friends, social circle, and. Adults can get addicted to it. What's it doing to kids? I mean,
100%.
I don't really know. I've coached people in the kind of teenage years, and there's moments with certain like kids that I coach where
they're not you doing that.
Yeah, I'm not.
It was meant to be a phone now.
I thought you were touching your boobs. What's going on here? They're seeing boobs.
Let's not combine those two things. Phones. It was all after phones. The phones have to be literally I have to take them out of the hand, put them aside in between sets and workouts because they're on it. I'm like, what are you doing on your phone in between sets? It's like on Snapchat and they're messaging a friend, and I'm like, let's get into this session for 1 hour. Can I just have your attention? And I see it with a lot of like business owners that I coach where they'll have to put the phone aside and they're like, someone's about to call me, they've got to do this, and this. There's only one person I ever let go on the phone during a session. It's a doctor that goes on call. He has to, for work, be there to answer life-saving calls that could potentially save people's lives. That's fine by me. That's okay.
Nothing else is that.
And believe it or not, if he could, he wouldn't have that phone there. But anyone else, if you're a business owner, program this hour into your day, have it off from work, a shut off for a second. Let's go and do it. Let's get into this because I just do think so many. And if parents and adults are like that, how is it going to mould kids for the rest of their life where they just can't focus on anything that's just
we have
mildly
screen time
intense?
limits. We have 1 hour screen time limits, and my daughter's got a phone now because she needs it for going to high school, travel, contacting us. But
Any other questions that you wanted to go down the avenue of?
I've got an absolutely burning question, which I'm super cautious of your time.
No, it's okay. She's just setting up. We don't officially start to have to. So.
I found out that you were an extra in the Inbetweeners film. I'm absolutely obsessed with this fact.
Oh yeah, even I didn't know this.
I wanted to try and link to like the comparison side. So for a bit of fun comparison,
go for it.
Which character in the Inbetweeners do you resonate the most with? To give you a bit of time to think about it.
I don't resonate with any of them. Let's be fucking honest. But do you know what? I'll tell you something different though.
Please say
because do you know what? I hope he never sees this. When I obviously met them in real life, I was thinking who would be like the nicest, the most friendly, the best to me, right? So you tell me which one you think was the rudest and least friendly to all of us.
But by his character, you'd presume Will or Jay.
No, I presume Simon actually.
Would you?
I think Simon's quite. His character on screen's quite like he's the formal one. He wants to get everything right.
Wait, is Simon on the glasses?
No. Simon's the one with the blondish style. Like
he's the one that was with Carly and us. Carly.
Yeah, Carly.
Just
he was the sweetest goddamn person ever. I remember saying to him, I was like, oh my god, my boyfriend, was my boyfriend absolutely loves you. Inbetweeners as well. We're such big fans. He went, oh, do send my love to him. And I was like,
that's amazing.
So Jay and Will were really rude. Neil was all right. He was quite nice. The girls were all lovely. The girls were all super lovely, super nice. But yeah, we'd be filming all day, and then afterwards we'd go to this pub and we'd all be in there, and they'd all be there, and obviously everyone's flocking around for photos and stuff. So I totally get it, but in equal measures, you know, yeah, they weren't that, they weren't, yeah.
What were you on the show? Who were you?
I was an extra.
Yeah.
And if you remember the boat party scene, where they filmed the first Inbetweeners film,
right?
And they're on holiday and they go on the boat party.
Yeah.
So we were in Mallorca in March when it was fucking freezing, filming on a boat, and it was meant to be Malia in the summer. We had fake spray tans, and we're on a boat literally for 7-8 hours a day. With honestly, in between scenes, we had these big brown blankets because everyone was freezing. They were handing out seasickness tablets to everyone because it was so choppy.
Wow.
And obviously, Simon had to jump into the water. They had to like get a helicopter to get him out with foil around him because it was so freezing cold. Because obviously, it was like the Mediterranean Sea in March is not warm.
Jesus.
And I remember thinking at the time, I could never do this as a career. And that's all I ever wanted to do was be an actress. And I thought I could never do this. This is not fun at all. It is not glamorous at all. And what was interesting, the comparison I made was that what you see on the screen is so not what happens behind. And it's like social media. The screen of what you see on the film is so not what's happening behind. You know, we were all fake tan and freezing on a boat being sick. And what you saw is everyone having a really good time. For me, that was the greatest comparison of how people filter their lives and how it's not really what you see. But yeah, don't get me wrong, like I can look back at it now and go, yeah, I was totally in between this film. You know, totally manifested that. I literally, all I wanted to do was an extra in a film. And I was like, oh my God. And I'm just gutted because one of the guys in it that came out of the toilet and he was doing like a line of coke, he's the guy that's now in the Gentleman film.
Oh, yes, he is.
So I kind of just wish I'd married him back then so much. You know, man, knew who, no, I'm joking. He was in it as well. And but yeah, it was an amazing experience when you look back on it in hindsight. When you're in the thick of it, it was not very fun.
Yeah.
I'll never look at that scene the same. Mine's Neil, by the way.
I literally look, I'm wearing a bright pink leopard print play suit.
We'll watch that again,
I'm twice the size of me probably now. Really dark hair. So you'll notice they're doing a shot at the bar and they go, whatever, it's like shot wankers, whatever they say, and then that's probably what I say. And then Will runs to go throw up over the balcony and you'll see me go, because he runs past me, and you'll see me dancing a few times. That's it, but yeah, that's my claim to fame.
One last question, if that's
all
right.
Go for it.
Just for our audience, obviously, we want to kind of get a few insights into how you manage your crazy life, basically. So you've got 4 amazing kids, big business. You are here, there, and everywhere. You've just been to Thailand. Is it? Am I allowed to say that? Is that official?
You can say Thailand. That's a good one. I wish we did go.
How do you manage all this stuff? How do you, how do you do the kids, the family, the work, the travel? What is it about all those things that you make balanced? We want to know.
It's a great question. Number one thing I always do is prioritise. So I always know what's really important to me and I prioritise. And one thing that I learned years ago was discipline is freedom. So for me, planning everything is really important. So time blocking time out for everything, my work time, my other things. And yeah, don't get me wrong, sometimes life gets crazy. Sometimes there's things I've got to do that, are sacrifices or time away from the kids, but therefore a bigger dream or a bigger purpose or a bigger vision. And I want to show my kids that that's possible. So yeah, it is trying to harmonise. And I like to use the word balance because I always think of like you're on one foot trying to balance, hold your ear. I don't like the word juggle because who the fuck can juggle? So I like to use the word harmonise. How can we harmonise each aspect of who we are and the different parts of our life? And how, and people say that, how do you do it? And honestly, I think it's the fact that, I've got an incredible support system. I'm really good at mapping out what's important to me, what needs to get done. I've got a great team that I can delegate stuff to. And I think, realising I can't do it all by myself is really important. But yeah, prioritising. And I've built a business that does allow me the freedom to do the other things around it. So I think that's a key part, is my business model allows me to do that. And I think I've been very intentional at how I built my business so that I can be a mum, number one, and still do what I want to do and coach and still have a life and social life and travel and go on holiday. So yeah, it's all about being intentional about what is really important to you, what your values. My values are my freedom, my family, creating wealth for me and my family so we can travel. Travel's my big one, and spirituality. So when you've got your key values in life and you're always asking, is this in alignment with that? Is this in alignment with that? Then you make better decisions about your life and what you're saying yes to, what you're saying no to. Meticulously planning, this is what I do this day, this is my time block for this is my free time, this is not. When you get into that habit, everything slots in. We do have the same amount of time, but I think what's really important is that intention behind what you're doing.
Yeah, I love that. We preach similar things to our clients, don't we, about kind of planning and mapping out your time, writing down priority lists of what is important to you. And actually, it took me back then to when we first started training together, and I got all those things in like the first 2 or 3 sessions. Like it's very intentional, like you said, the way you set up your life and your business, but I think you kind of exude that as well, like, to people around you. Like when we had conversations around like what's important to us, you'd be very firm on like I'm a mum, like that's kind of almost priority number 1. But around that, I want to be able to do things I want to do. I want to be successful here, and I want to pursue this, and I want to travel to this place. And I think not enough people are clear on that and are making set intentions towards those things.
Intentions.
Sure.
I mean, I think my 12-year-old's been to 25 countries already, because one of my biggest values is, I think Casper's done 15 already, he's only 2.
Wow,
wow. One of my biggest intentions was, my value for travel and adventure, and I didn't want to lose that. So, I have to make enough money to be able to fund that for 6 of us. So, as long as you know what your values are, everything is directed to that. And, you're always weaving those things in, and then your life is, every day is gearing towards that vision of what you want. And so that's how I do it.
Love that. No, you've been incredibly generous with your time. I'm really looking forward to this one, and you've not disappointed. So thank you.
It's been amazing.
I disappointed was the microphone.
We'll give him a telling off later.
I was going to say like really inappropriate then. But I won't.
I know.
This is a PG
And I know what you were going to say. No, honestly, thank you so much.
Thank you for having me. It's been a pleasure. It's nice to hang out with you guys.
Amazing. Thank you.
Thank you.
Take care.
Appreciate it.